team.
Then, of course, from what I've heard, they've had, like, I guess, close to 15 transfers in the offseason. So an already very talented returning Lakeland team just got even more loaded over the offseason. I honestly, looking at their schedule, I do not see anyone in the regular season that realistically I could see beating Lakeland. Manatee's not a bad team. They should be taking a step forward this year with Jaquez Green coming in as their offensive coordinator. But I'm probably going to lean Lakeland this game probably by 21 points.
If you leaning with Lakeland by 21, I have to go with you on that. I would probably lean on Lakeland in the victory. Just because I don't know too much about Manatee, and I have been hearing a few great things about Lakeland, but like I say, nonetheless, I don't really know too much about one or the other, though. But from what I've been hearing, Lakeland does have a lot of talent, so I would just pick with Lakeland just from what I've been hearing about the talent. And if I'm hearing about your talent way up here in a whole different region, then y'all must be, loaded with something.
Plant traveling to Armwood. This has been basically the two best teams annually in Tampa for public-wise, and it's become a very good rivalry because they've both been very competitive, and they've traded wins with each other for a while now. But, of course, after what I saw with Armwood last week, with how they were able to play against Lee, I'm definitely leaning Armwood in this game.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you on that.
And another very good game I was seeing in South Florida, which might be flying a bit under the radar as a game because of the games tomorrow. Cardinal Gibbons, the defending 5A state champs from last year, now in 4A, will be traveling to Miami Northwestern to play the defending 6A state champs, who are now in 5A.
Oh, that's going to be a great matchup.
I feel like this is a game that, if it wasn't for the games at Traz tomorrow, or the out-of-state games that are on ESPN, this one would be getting a lot more attention as a good game. This one's a tough one to pick. I guess in a tie, again, I'll go with the home team, Miami Northwestern, but this was one that I almost wanted to go and pick the road team just because I do feel like Gibbons will be very talented again this year. But yeah, I'm going to lean Northwestern in a very close game.
I feel that as well. I lean Northwestern, maybe in a 10-point victory.
Okay. Was there any other games that you caught your attention this week?
Well, we glossed over that Fletcher versus Bishop Kenny game. I do think Fletcher's going to get that victory, but Bishop Kenny got to get this thing turned around, though. But Miles Montgomery, Devin Linger, the quarterback from Fletcher, Miles Montgomery, running back, one of the top 10 running backs in the area. This kid is going to have a really big game tonight, and he's going to have a really big season this year, and he may even help propel Fletcher into the playoffs again. But Bishop Kenny got to get this thing turned around. That is going to be a really interesting game. Westside hosting Middleburg. I think Westside to get that victory. Coach DeBose, he got a ton of talent out there this year. He's looking to get things turned around at Westside. They've been grinding this whole offseason, so I do think they'll start the season off 1-0 tonight. Think Fletcher get the victory tonight. And Rebo at Creekside, like I said, mentioned Josh Jones. He's going to have an excellent season this year. I believe Rebo goes down to St. Johns County, takes out Creekside at least by maybe 20 points. They should roll big Creekside.
Didn't Creekside get a quarterback transfer just a few weeks ago, right before the season?
Young guy Daniel Plummer, 10th grader. Really good, bright future. He's going to be one of the tops in this class by the time he's a senior. But tonight won't be his night against Rebo. I can guarantee you that, though.
All right. We hear a lot about Jackson. I'm not sure who they're playing tonight, but
they playing Father Lopez, I believe. Don't know much about Father Lopez, so I would Coach Antoine Atwater. He's doing great things over there on Main Street. they definitely got that thing going in the right direction on Main Street at this point. So I would definitely give the Tigers the victory tonight, and that's going to be great for their program to start the season out 1-0. Father Lopez, they're going to come in and give them all they got, but Jackson will start the season 1-0 tonight, though.
Do you feel like I've heard a lot about Jackson being a sleeper? Like, what's your are you like in that same category? I feel like they are gonna. I know they're gonna fly under the radar, but that's not really what I'm thinking. I'm more like, do you think they can be a realistic threat in 3A North? Maybe if not this year, then maybe next year.
Definitely next year, but realistically, it's going to depend on what Baldwin can do. It's going to depend on what I believe. Who else in the 3A?
Trinity Christian.
We already know they're going to make it, so it's going to be out of Trinity, Baldwin, and say maybe
Florida High, I believe, is another one, and then Pensacola Catholic.
Yeah, so Jackson could realistically get in. It just Baldwin may have the better team this year, so I would lean towards Baldwin getting in over Jackson this year. Although I do see Jackson being about a 5-5, just at a 500 type of team this year.
Personally,
of course, Inglewood. They travel. I'm sorry, Ingle. Go ahead.
Personally, from looking at their schedule, 5-5 will probably not be good enough for them to get in. They probably need to win at least 6 games if they're wanting to get in there.
Yeah. Realistically, they do need to win about 6, and that Baldwin game is going to be real big for them. But I do think Baldwin got more athletes this year than Jackson, so I think Baldwin. I don't want to go on a limb and pick that game just yet, but I just do think Baldwin got more athletes than Jackson at this point right now, though.
Don't worry. When we could probably pick that game once we get a little bit closer. So we'll go ahead and hit on a little bit of college football, which we have. I don't know if there's many games this week. I think there's really only one game this week that probably should hit on. And that's the University of Miami versus UF game tomorrow night.
Yes, sir.
Who are you picking in this one?
I'm going to go with the Gators in this one. I like all 3 teams. I like every team from Florida. I'm going to put that on the record. Every team that play football in Florida, I like them. But if it came down to it, I want to see Florida State beat them all. But with that being said, I'm going to go with the Gators in this game right here. I just think they're going to slap over Miami. I love Miami. Got a ton of players from Jacksonville area. They recruit a ton of players from Jacksonville. I love those guys down south. Mike Phoenix, Shaq Quarterman. You know what I'm saying? And plenty more other players. Like I say, Chance Williams from Oakley. He committed Chance Williams and Jalen Rivers from Oakley. They committed that. Jeremiah Payton from Fletcher last year. He's playing with them this year. You got Bradley Jennings from Sandalwood. Man, they just got so many players from Jacksonville area. It's crazy. But with that being said, I'm gonna have to go with the Florida Gators though.
Speaking of teams with a lot of Florida players, Florida Atlantic, Florida International, UCF, and USF. I've looked through some of those rosters. There is a ton of in Florida talent on all those schools.
Yeah, I went to a Shula Bowl, which is FIU versus FAU 2 years ago. Between both teams, they had 25 players that was active and about 30 players because a couple of players like Amon Ross was injured, Ronald Patterson was injured. But if you add in all the injured players, it was 32, 33 players. It was crazy. I was like, dang.
Just from Florida or from Duval County?
No, from the Jacksonville area.
Oh, wow.
They had a couple of players from, Oakley, whoever, but just in the Northeast Florida area, I should say. Going from Trinity, Bowles, Rains, because, Willie Wright, like I say, Willie Wright was playing Ronald Patterson. He was injured at the time. Amon Ross had played for Bowles. They had Karan Hafiz. They just had so many players. I believe DeAndre Johnson, he didn't play that game. He was still medically not cleared to play at that time. But they just had had so FIU had most notably Alex Gardner who played for Reigns, but it was just so much Northeast Florida players between those two teams. It was just crazy. It was just a sight to see, pretty much.
All right. For this game, I do feel like it's going to be a close one. I've seen some people thinking blowout. I do not see that happening. I would be actually very surprised if it's a blowout. Though I will take the Gators in this game. I would say a pretty close one. So I would say I don't really see it being any more than 7 to 10 point win on their end. Miami always finds a way to play very competitively when they go up against the Gators in these games. And I'm very glad to see that they got themselves a home and home coming up in a couple of years. I would personally like to see them play each year just because it really does feel good to see like the big three like all playing each other. But
yes, sir. That is great for the state.
Yeah, and
I do think Florida going to roll them, though.
So, for tonight, what games are you looking into checking out?
Orlando Jones and, like I say, Fletcher versus Bishop Kennedy. Those the two games that got me the most intrigued. Reigns versus Orlando, Fletcher versus Bishop Kennedy.
Those should be pretty good games.
Bishop Kennedy will be the home game. And I may try to sneak in Inglewood versus Paxton. We trying to get in Inglewood there. I think Coach J.D. Stalvey, he's doing some great things. Inglewood, they lost to Providence 7-0 last week. Had about 3 interceptions in that game, a bunch of turnovers, a bunch of penalties. They had a touchdown that was called back. I think Coach J.D. he'll get those mistakes, things cleaned up, and I believe he'll get that win over Paxton. So I may try to sneak in a little Paxton versus Inglewood because they playing on the west side. It's not going to be too far from Reigns. And
all right,
Reigns for Orlando and the Bishop Kennedy versus Fletcher game. Them the three games that pretty much got me the most intrigued.
And, any shot of Inglewood maybe potentially be able to compete with St. Augustine in their district?
Well, it all depends. If they can get these penalties and mistakes cleaned up, yes, they got the talent on offense, on defense. They got a great head coach and Coach J.D. Stalvey. He's got these guys buying into the program. But if they can get these penalties and mistakes cleaned up, yes. Because I wasn't too impressed, albeit it was just a referee scrimmage, but I wasn't too impressed with St. Augustine in the referee scrimmage. Now, I'm going to say this now. Jaden McDowell, he's the real deal now. But receiver, free safety for St. Augustine, he's the real deal. He's going to make a lot of plays. He's going to have another huge season this year. But outside of Jaden, I wasn't impressed with St. Augustine.
Okay. The thing for them, that district though is from what I like Ponte Vedra look like they probably going to drop off pretty hard with losing Tobin. So at this, I'm not sure what to expect out of Matanzas. So I could realistically see it maybe coming down to Inglewood, St. Augustine in that district.
Yeah, and that's very realistic. But if it came down to Inglewood and St. Augustine, I do think St. Augustine right now, if I just had to pick them today, who will win that district, I do think St. Augustine do win it, but not by much, though.
All right.
And I wouldn't be surprised if Coach J.D. pulled out all the stops, the bells and whistles to get it done.
It would be impressive to see Inglewood win a district title potentially. I don't know if they've ever won a district title, at least not in my recent memory.
Definitely not in my recent memory.
Well, obviously I'll be checking out Trinity Christian in Lake City tonight against Columbia. Should be a very good game. Thanks for joining us on here today.
Yeah, I appreciate you for having me, man.
Well, hopefully we can try to set up a time for you to come on back. Hopefully later on in the season, maybe even the week when it's Lee versus Columbia.
Oh, definitely. Lee versus Columbia week, man. I'm gonna have a lot of great stuff going on that week, so we definitely got to get together. What week is that?
Let's